Well,
Hey everyone, Aaron here, and boy, the dry spell just continues. I've found no new toys lately, but that changes tomorrow when the 6-inch Black Series Churret and Bays will arrive at my doorstep. So next week we've got reviews to look forward to on some brand new figures, but today we're going to take a look at the 6-inch Commander Cody Black Series figure. So let's head to that table and check him out. Here we've got Commander Cody in his packaging here. He's released in that blue packaging that we received from 2014 to 2015. And he's number 14 in the lineup, which reset with this line as well for the number count. Still no numberings on the side of the packaging like we receive now with the Black Series line for the red line. And on the back side, you've got a nice artwork here of Commander Cody. What was released in my area for this figure, though, was a multi-language version. At least that's what I found in my source. So instead of a short little write-up about Commander Cody, I just have his name in different languages. Here, of course, we got the figure out of the packaging, and to me, this is a pretty good-looking figure. Now, the main body of this figure and the legs are the same as what was used for the earlier Clone Trooper releases as seen in Attack of the Clones. And his left arm seems to use the same molding as well. Just a different paint job on it, on the legs, on the belt, and this one does have a backpack that is glued on to the back of the torso there. So really, it's his head and his right arm that are what's new and unique to this figure release, aside from the obvious paint job. Looking closer at the helmet, this is very nicely done. The antennas are nicely painted. His orange visor there, instead of being something that Hasbro painted, this is a separately molded piece that's just molded orange. But what is painted on this helmet does look great. Looking closer at the torso area and that right arm, they've got this little antenna thing sculpted in on the backside of his bicep. The orange pieces on the top of his shoulder here again are also molded orange plastic pieces, so those are not painted in there. The one thing for me about this head chest area is that his head does sit a little too high. That's due to the way they use some articulation in there for the head, so we'll touch on that later. Looking at the belt area, his pouches are all painted different here, and his little canister at the back as well has some nice paint detailing on it. And the legs look about as you would expect. On that left leg, you get a little, scratch paint job there with that orange stripe. And the orange over the kneecaps as well. And those pieces are painted orange. Those aren't separately molded orange pieces. The one thing I will say overall about the look of this figure is I wish that he was a lot more scruffed up looking as we saw him in episode 3. They've got some markings in there on the chest already, kind of molded into it. Even if they would have just thrown in some silver paint in each of those markings, I think that would have been nice. Now, Commander Cody does come with 2 weapons for accessories. He's got his heavy blaster rifle, just plain molded black plastic, no additional paint detailing or scratching on there. And then he also comes with a standard issue blaster gun. Same thing here, molded black plastic with no additional paint detailing. Now, as I mentioned earlier about how his helmet sits up higher, the helmet itself is on this ball joint, which allows for a great range of motion of twisting, turning, and going up and down. But you also have an additional swivel joint at the base of the neck, which allows you to bend it forward and back. So you can get them kind of leaning in like so. It's nice to have that additional range of motion, and it doesn't really bug me too much that his head's sitting up a little higher. With the shoulder joints here, this plastic is pretty rigid. So when you bend it up, it's got a little bit of room to get the arms up. I'm glad these aren't as soft as what I saw with the recent AT-AT driver, where I ended up damaging it from going up too high, so that's nice. But when you do have that arm down, you're going to get a good range of motion through there. There's enough clearance between here and the chest area for that to swing through. And same for the other arm as well. As far as the rest of the arm movement, your elbows are double jointed, so you're going to get a good amount of articulation through there. The elbows themselves don't pivot like they do on the other figures, but they do at the top of the shoulder here. So you can still get some of that twisting movement out of it. At the hands, they do swivel around, and this left one goes in and out at a decent range. And for the right hand, that one does go up and down instead of side to side. At the waist area here, you get a good amount of twisting and a little bit of crunching forward and back. As far as the leg joints at the hip, you have a decent amount of movement, and you can rotate these all around. And then inside where this armor connects to the black of the leg, you can swivel this joint too at the top of the thigh. And then down here, you got your double joint as usual. Good range through there. And then at the ankle here, you get your forward and back, and it does pivot through. One thing I will say about this figure is that his joints are very flimsy. At least they are on mine. Your mileage may vary for yours. But through the hips here, and this joint through here, lots of flopping around. Overall, I really do like this figure. I'd really like to see a more battle-worn look to this figure, though. Certainly would have loved to have gotten a removable helmet, since we see him often in the movie without a helmet on. And as long as I'm making wishes, a little mini hologram of the Emperor to hold in his hand. But as I've already said, don't get me wrong, I'm certainly happy to have this one in my collection, and I think it's still a good looking figure. So there it is, another review done. What are your thoughts on this figure? Let me know in the comment section below, and as always, thanks for watching.